This week on Dance Dad with John Corella podcast, we have our first official Dance Dads. They came ready and some willing with the beer in hand to share how dance dads are different than dance moms, how they feel about their kids dancing in a controversial environment to some, as well as how they deal with the dance mom drama. But first, if you want access to the podcast the day before the general public, special videos from the guests, as well as Dear John advice from me, get our Bold membership for $5 at patreon.com. The only Dance Dad with John Corella. Please welcome to the stage Dance Dad David, Dance Dad Jason, and Dance Dad Nick. Okay, everyone, welcome back to Dance Dad with John Corella podcast. And I am here a little intimidated because I have not one, not two, but three Dance Dad. I have Dance Dad Jason, Dance Dad David, and Dance Dad Nick. So please welcome to the stage the Dance Dads.
All right.
All right. Look at you. All right. We have we have Jason May, Dance Dad Jason, who owns Drink Weird. He's got the hat. If you are watching on YouTube, go have yourself a little bit of drink. We have Dance Dad Nick, who I know his daughter Penny and his wife. Your wife is a dance mom too, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And then I have Dance Dad David, who's like the first attorney dance dad. Maybe.
All right.
I don't think I know an attorney dance mom. So
well, okay.
So I'm going to go down the line a little bit. So tell me your name, your dancer's name, and how long you've been a dance dad, Jason.
My name is Jason. I'm from California. My daughter's name is California. And I've been a dance. She's 11. She's almost 12 years old. And I've been a dance dad since the beginning. It seems like Joanna, her mother, is a big dance enthusiast, also close family friend of John Corella. And so John has been intimately involved with Callie's direction as a dancer and my experience as a dance dad. So I think she started when she was probably 3 years old, performing, and she's 9 years in, I guess, and she's doing really well, and it's been great so far. Really
so you've
exciting.
Been a dance dad for 9 years. Wow,
yes.
That's a long time. I feel a little bit less though, because I remember that time walking into a dance competition when she was 6, and I said, "Welcome to the rest of your life."
You were right.
Yeah, I pretty much was like, "Welcome to the rest of your life," and he looked at me a little scared. So introduce yourself, David. Tell me your daughter's names, and how long you've been a dance dad.
Well, I think you definitely picked a great dad to be on the program today, because my daughters are always telling me what a great dad I am. I'm just like the best dad ever. And, I they just tell me I bring the best out of them. And you know what? All I got to say is, it's pretty much speaks for itself right here.
Oh, everyone, he's holding that best dad ever. Too bad it doesn't say best dance dad ever.
I picked this up at Spencer's. So, just tells you.
What's in my cup?
What's in that cup?
I did have to ask you guys, because, I got two options here. I was either going to go with the Mickeys or the Coors here, because this is a dance dad event, and I've already kind of got the Mickeys going, so I think I'm going to start with that there. So,
David, Dance Dad David, I like to say I haven't seen a Mickey's since I was probably 17 years old.
It's a kind of a dance dad thing, among us. Dance Dad Nick there can attest to that. Since we were having a Dance Dad podcast, I decided to, get one nice and cold, because they need to be cold. Nice. If you're going to have but yeah, so, my daughters are Coco, who's 8, and Maddie, who's 10, and they've danced since they were 4 years old. And, I just got to say at the beginning here, John, like, my daughters love you, and you are an amazing instructor, because I don't know if you remember, but when you had Coco there at your last master class there, and she was working on her solo with you, she was working on her, the Panche, I think it was.
Oh, look at you dropping the terminology already.
I've been here a little while. I can sling it, but she was. I remember she did really well with you on that, and she worked really hard on it. And this is how I share my screen on here, because I don't know what I'm doing, but this is her Panche now. If you can see that, which you guess you can't.
Go a little
there. There we go.
Yeah,
wow. There it is.
And she worked on that for a long time. And I remember her going over it with you, and that's really when I saw like something change with it. So I just got to tell you, you're an amazing teacher, and my daughters really appreciate the work you did with them. Well, and I appreciate you having me on the podcast too.
Well, thank you you kind of orchestrated it, meaning you helped facilitate this. So thank you. And I appreciate that. I don't have kids, but I kind of am a dance dad at heart. So
I'm sure you're around plenty of kids that consider you like that. So yeah, absolutely.
So how long have you been a dance dad?
Well, let's see. Maddie was the first one, and she started dancing when she was 4. So I guess it's been about 6.5 years now.
I feel you were born to be a dance dad.
Well, I appreciate that. I definitely, if these guys have seen some of the props that I've been tasked with creating, so, it's just been sort of a natural thing for me so far.
Well, I didn't know that you all were prop dads too.
So yes. We have plenty of prop dad stories too. So
that's a different show. So Nick, tell me your name, your dancer's name, and how long you've been a dance dad.
So my name's Nick, and my daughter's name is Penny. I want to say she started dancing between the ages of 2 and 3, and she's 9 now. So I guess that's between around 7 years, give or take.
Okay.
And it just feels like yesterday when I probably heard the exact same thing. Welcome to the rest of your life, and empty your pockets and your bank accounts and everything else that goes along with it.
Yeah. So, that's kind of good to let's start with that. I'm happy that you brought that up because, usually when the moms are on, they kind of are known to have separate credit cards, known to have separate, stashes of cash for all these things. But did you expect it to cost so much when you first put her in dance, Penny?
Absolutely not. I thought it was going to be like what it was when I played sports, which was, maybe $100 for the season and here's a pizza party at the end and call it a day. And it's more like $100 an hour. And,
$100.
I basically have to have my own separate account so I can go have fun with no one knowing there's dance money left.
So if you don't mind me asking, roughly, how much do you think you've spent on dance?
That's a question I'll never want to know the answer to. But this say I put my head in the sand. I don't even look at the statements anymore.
Yeah.
That's the right philosophy, Nick. I just have to tell myself it's Joanna's money too. So her decision, but I don't want to know the total. It's worth the investment. I'm a big proponent of the dance, but it definitely has been considerable expense.
Yeah.
I look at the calendar and I'm like, oh, what's this private? That was a choreographer for Beyonce or for Mariah Carey. And like, does she need that? She's 7. Like, does she need solo privates with the best choreographers in the world? But anyway, it's definitely been worth the spend.
Absolutely. I think I agree. But at the end of the day, I look at it as there is no price tag on the investment because at the end of the day, I look at all of our daughters and all the other kids they dance with. And it's like, I don't think I would have ever danced, but if I did dance when I was that age, that amount of confidence they're building and that talent at such an early age, I'm excited to see where all the girls go because of all what they're learning at this age. So I tend to use that as my I don't want to know the dollar amount thing, but I like the outcome so far. So it's been good.
I always say too, it's different because imagine if you were at what sport did you play, Nick?
I played football and baseball and basketball. Okay,
I played everything. So I'm going to try and sound very sporty, but imagine if you were on the football field as a kid with, oh my God, Peyton Manning. Is that a football player?
Yeah.
You nailed it.
Good one.
So that's the difference, which I always tell people is, we think it's, this tiny little stuff, but then, I've seen girls from, dance moms that now have bigger homes than me, Tate McRae, who's becoming a huge pop star, Britney Spears, Carmen Electra, believe it or not, she was in dance competitions. So let me rephrase that. Obviously that's I'm not going to rephrase that. I can say that. I'm sure that's not the best path to go, Carmen Electra, that you want your daughters to go. But there's definitely a lot of things out there. But you're not going to get away with this because I do ask these questions to everyone. And I know people listening are going to go, why didn't you ask the dads? I always ask the moms. Why didn't you? So there's these 4 questions. Don't freak out. And it's going to deal with emotion. So
go for it.
It's all good. David's going to start it.
All right.
So quickly, I'm going to cut it down to 2 because there's 3 of you. So how are you feeling and what is it saying? So how are you feeling this evening, David?
I'm feeling great, just nothing that little Mickeys can't, take care of. I was a little nervous about doing a podcast, but right now I'm feeling pretty good. So,
okay. So if it had a voice, this excitement, what would it be saying?
Well, I'm just happy to be here. I like all you guys, and it's good anytime we can spend time together, and especially just to talk about things. And not everyone it gets to be a dance dad. I was blessed, to have 2 daughters, and because of that, dance has become my life, right? Whereas, if I would have had boys or something like that, maybe it'd be a little different. I certainly knew nothing about dance, when I first started. Because, when the girls started dancing and everything. But one of the biggest surprises to me is the friendships that the dads make, in these situations. Obviously we're hunkered down, and for weekends at a time, with our daughters dancing. And so, you really bond with the people that you're around. And so it's something I had never anticipated when dance became serious. But, these gentlemen here and many others, have become really good friends. And as a parent, you just are thinking, well, what does your kid like to do? You want the best for them to enjoy what they're doing. But I've had a great time, too. So it's been a real nice, pleasant surprise, what the life can be like.
So it sounds like a lot of gratitude. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, gratitude. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to sandwich you all. I'm going to put Jason in. So how are you feeling, Jason, this evening?
I'm feeling great, John. I appreciate the invitation again. I like Nick and David. They're cool guys. And, I echo what David said about the social element of dance. It's definitely been a component of it that I didn't expect. And I feel great about it. It's really incredible when you have an opportunity to meet like-minded people that you wouldn't have met otherwise.
So that's what it would be saying, this great. I'm going to do something too that I do to your daughters, believe it or not. I always say, how are you feeling today? And they always go, good. And I go, because it's just, so we got 2 greats here, Nick.
Yes.
So I will get a different adjective for how you are feeling. So how are you feeling, Nick?
How about fantastic?
Okay. Hey, fantastic. Fantastic is good. And if it had a voice, what would it be saying?
Excited. I think, I guess we're talking present feeling.
Yeah.
I'm here at home. I didn't have to take my daughter Penny to dance tonight, and she's been there all day today. And it's a function of them getting ready to go to dance awards in like a week and a half, I think.
Yeah.
So it's always a fun time of the year. I think this may be our 5th trip out there, I think, for the event. So it's always a fun time. I think kind of what Jason Day was saying is that's always been one of the funnest things. I mean, for me is, we're at these events and like probably more than half the time you're not even with your daughter because they're backstage or practicing and, they're performing, et cetera. And all the dads are all hanging out. And I remember the first couple of ones I ever went to was like, everyone was kind of scattered about. Everyone was kind of doing their own thing. I'm like, guys, we're here for the whole day, sometimes the whole weekend. Well, might as well like make friends and have fun. And so we've started our own little dad tailgates in the parking lots and other ways to get in trouble and look like the derelicts of dance competitions, and which works out great because then you start attracting people from other studios and other, the dance moms are like, oh man, I wish our husbands would do this kind of stuff and like get together and hang out. They're just over there putzing around on their phone, and there's some funny stuff. But it's a good time. I always get excited this time of the year. You would have asked me this, 10 years ago before we had our daughter, if I would be where we are today doing dance competitions and being a dance dad and, understanding and trying to learn like the terms that Dave flew out there, which I'm not familiar with that one yet, but I know what they look like, right? I know some of the terms, but
don't worry. I'm going to give you a heads up, but each of you are going to show your daughter's favorite move at the end of.
Oh Lord!
I call that one riding the horse. That one's called the riding the horse. I know that one. I remember that when she was 2 or 3, galloping along the dance studio. But yeah, no, it's I think I would say and I think Jason hit it right on the head. Like-minded individuals. I think we're all. I mean, I basically feel the same way. I mean, I'm excited that how life has worked out to this point, and meeting these guys and everyone else who we had a chance to meet. It's been fun.
And you all are like-minded. Not all dance dads support dance, believe it or not. But you all definitely. I know you all, and you are very supportive of your daughter's dancing, and you can see it. So I'm feeling, I'm going to say it, sorry, good, but I'm feeling good. And if it had a voice, it would be saying, how did you all meet? That's what it's asking. Where did you all meet the first time?
It's funny because we're all at different studios now. And, but for years we've known each other. I think Jason I met years ago because my 2 daughters went up to LA where they were living, and did like a week of dance with them, and we managed to hang out and get to know each other from that. Nick, I've known since I think 3 or 4 years now, and we hit it off immediately. Part of what he was talking about is, we managed to start a Dance Dad fantasy football league here, and it's all the dance dads, hanging out. And so we got even more to talk about when we're together.
You have a Dance Dad fantasy football league.
Yeah. It's been going on for we're going into our 4th year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like oil and vinegar.
Is it?
Now,
my
John,
brain trying to mix.
John's a season tickets holder for the Rams.
Yeah. Okay.
Little known secret.
There you go.
I've taken Jason once before, but I really don't know that much.
I'm surprised you didn't say Matthew Stafford instead of Peyton Manning. So I was like,
I know I felt the pressure. It's like of everyone that's going.
But yeah, we've had that going for 3 or 4 years now, and it's only grown. It's almost too big now for a fantasy football league. We have to divide it into divisions to make it so it works. But it's just things that people want to get into. Because we've got time and we're going to be hanging out with each other.
Yeah.
So Nick, tell me the craziest story about Dance Dad David.
Oh boy.
Are we talking about in a dance environment or outside of a dance environment?
Whatever, this is
go for it, Nick.
And over. We want to tell me the best Dance Dad story then.
What is the age range of people listening to this? We're going to have,
it's 18 and over.
Rated appropriately, right?
I mean, you're dealing with dance moms, and dance moms cuss a lot. I hear them cuss all the time. So it's 18 and over, the podcast.
I got a lot of good. We got a lot of good stories the last 3 or 4 years. I'm trying to think of something relevant here because we're showing Mickey's grenades here. Well, I guess. Well, let's tell a story about how the Mickeys became part of this dance dad culture right now, and it's existed for 12 months, and I feel like it was a bad idea. And
it wasn't our idea though, right? It wasn't.
It was not. Yeah. So a few of us dance dads were at a birthday party for a dance mom, and it happened to be 40s for 40, and I thought it was just a name of a like a fun name, right? For a birthday party. Well, next thing you know, we're looking for beers, and it's me, Dave, and a few of their dance dads, and really hot. And next thing you know, we open the cooler, and lo and behold, it was a whole cooler. It goes, those fishing coolers, right? The big ones, the long ones, not like the small ones, but the big ones, full of Mickeys, 40s, not the grenades, the 40s. I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, definitely need a drink, right? There's kids everywhere. It's Saturday. It's time to relax. Okay, look at Dave, and Dave gave me this wink, he's like, yeah, it is time. So we shared a Mickey's 40, and we probably finished it in maybe, I don't know, 2 minutes.
Yeah, we had to take our time, but yeah, we got through it.
Idea. And then
a little faster when we were younger, maybe. Yeah.
A few minutes, that's pretty fast. A few minutes is pretty fast.
It wasn't good. And then it evolved into I think it was last summer, because then it was we go to San Diego State football games, and we tailgate.
Oh yeah.
And we noticed a local Vaughn's was selling their grenades, So now the grenades are a part of our weekly tailgate that everyone, it's a rite of passage. When you go to a game, you got a shotgun and Mickey's grenade before you go in. You know,
when you say a game, do you mean what kind of game do you go to?
Football.
Oh, now do you do this at dance competitions?
Well,
well,
now that you put it in our head,
you'd be surprised. I've seen some dance dads in the back years ago, you know, at high schools doing that. So I just didn't know.
Well, we did we did start down that path at a competition at one of the high schools, and then we realized we were in a high school parking lot. And the kids were there on a weekend taking SATs, so we kind of. Yeah. Well, anyways.
And you know, as you all know, there's a lot more rules with dance studios. You know, you get those packets at the beginning of the year.
I don't read them.
You don't read them?
At Radix, at the Radix convention, which I've been to a few times in San Diego, in the convention center, you have to buy the booze there, and the line's always super long. And so Joanna would make me leave the convention center, take the backpack, the dance backpack, go to the bar at the Town and Country where there's no one, order margaritas and smuggle them inside the backpack, which I would have to do a balancing act. I'd get 4 of them and wedge stuff in between and then bring them in, which I've done for multiple years.
Yeah, I feel you brought me one last year.
Probably.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
I always got stuck paying for them too every time.
I'll say a little tip, obviously, for Dance Mom, Dance Dads is, you know, there is now DoorDash, right? We learned this, Nick, right? And in the morning, right, you can order, you know, your champagne, your orange juice, you know, and get it delivered right to the hotel. You don't even have to leave, right? And they'll, you know, this is the modern day and age, you know, that we can do this. And they'll bring you, you know, ready-made mimosas for everyone. We figured that out, and it was a big hit, wasn't it?
We made a little mimosa bar at the second level, Hilton over at in Anaheim, where everyone thinks we work there. We're just pouring
Well, I don't know how you all are going to survive Vegas, because it's internationals in Vegas.
2 weeks.
Well, I know Dance Dad Nick, you're going to Vegas, right? Are you too, David?
Yeah. No, Anaheim this year. I get a break. So,
oh well, that's good. You can take an Uber home.
Go to the cave.
I can't go to White Castle, that's for sure. So that's a bummer. But that was the reason I went to Vegas, is because then there was a White Castle there. So I was always willing to make the trip.
So how are any of you can answer? How are dance dads different than dance moms?
Oh boy.
It's a different trip, man, for sure. The dance mom stuff is tough. That's a very regimented schedule. Very, very dedicated position. There's a lot to do. High stress, you know, loading that car before dance competitions, getting out the door on time. That's always a high stress situation. There's a lot to manage.
David, how are dance dads different than dance moms?
Oh, well, you know, I mean, I just think about the moms, you know, and I've seen this so many times, you know, they're dealing with things. Someone, you know, it's competition and someone forgot their tap shoes, or their costume strap broke, or I've seen it, you know, they'll have the wrong music uploaded and the kid gets out there and then they're, you know, trying to dance to the wrong song and, you know, or even just like stage fright. I mean, it's, you know, there's a lot that everyone's under a lot of pressure, and, you know, it takes, I think, a lot of experience to be calm, and anything can happen. And so they're right there in the middle of it, obviously, at the competitions. And, you know, we're just there trying to be supportive and help out, you know, carry heavy things, you know, and also, you know, try to, you know, enjoy what we get to see on stage and support our kids, you know, when they do it. But yeah, it's a totally different situation. You know, that's the moment when, you know, the rubber meets the road, and, you know, they're up there for 2 minutes and it means everything. So yeah, I see how it's very different.
Is your wife a dance mom?
My wife?
Is she like, you know, a TV dance mom, I should say? She's not listening. Don't worry. She's not listening.
Well, she did. What do you mean? She danced when she was little? Like,
no, I mean, is she, only because I've only worked with you personally. So I didn't know she's a dance mom too.
Oh yeah. I mean, she's I mean, we've got 2 girls, so she's double, into this as far as having to prepare everything and all the costumes and the hair and the makeup. I obviously don't do any of that. I mean, I'm able to, obviously I saw you at the lesson and, do my best as a dance dad to help them, rehearse and be there and everything. But she does a ton because, I mean, the amount of everything I just talked about is from watching her having to do it,
Well, I actually love how involved you are, because a lot of the times you don't see many dance dads. You might get payment from them, but you don't necessarily see them. So, Nick, how are dance dads different than dance moms?
I would say dance dads get along with everyone. I don't need to finish the second part. I think we already know.
So how do you, I guess my question would be, Nick, how do you deal with the dance mom drama then, being a dance dad?
Well, I take 5 steps back, I get some popcorn, and I just watch a movie.
Oh, so you're like, this is going to be good.
Oh, yeah. Well, of course, it's never fun to see it because I feel like a lot of times it's kind of silly stuff, right? Most times it always is silly things, right? But, I get it. We're all... people are very competitive and, no one has to get along with everybody, but there's always those interesting dynamics between moms where it's like, man, can't we just all get along like the dads and have a beer in the parking lot?
So it sounds as though dance dads get along. Has there ever been dance dad drama?
I mean, if you didn't bring beer, maybe, but,
if you didn't bring beer,
tequila.
Nothing that you can remember.
No, I don't think so.
Do you feel that's because it's involving girls in dance, where I've seen on video, you definitely seen, soccer dads or football dads. They definitely get a lot crazier. Do you think it's because of that it's dance, that there's not much dance dad drama?
Yeah. I mean, I think I think that's a perfect example. Like if it was our sons, well, I don't have a son, I don't have a daughter, but if I had a son, yeah, I think there'd be more like, oh, why did you put my kid in kind of thing, right? But I think for me, not knowing really anything about dance and just kind of learning as we go and try to pretend to know what's going on. Half the times I'm scratching my head like, I don't know what's going on, but it's like, what happened to gold, silver, bronze? Now it's like lightning gold, and then there's like the platinum, and there's like, well, can we just go back to first, second,
High
third?
gold,
silver, bronze, and like make it real simple. Like I'm confused every time there's awards, but
you're not the only one. Yeah.
remember the first time we got a high gold, I thought it was good, and then Joanna said that was the lowest.
Yeah, right. But it's high gold. How can you go wrong?
Yeah, that sounds amazing. She goes, yeah, it's the worst one.
So my question would be too, how would Jason, dance dad Jason, how do you support your wife who is a dance mom when it comes to dance mom drama?
I try to be present for her. There's definitely some dance mom drama. It happens. And I don't think it's so much dance mom drama like, the women butting heads, but I think with the events are high pressure and stuff changes and schedules get messed up. And like David said, outfits get screwed up and, those type of problems that create stress. I just try to make sure to listen to her. Joanna was a dancer herself. She's been around this a long time. She takes it very seriously. She's run a studio herself. She knows most of the choreographers. She knows, many of the judges, a lot of times the owners of the series. So I think her experience might be a little different than a dance mom who's not quite as connected as Joanna is. But I definitely just try to listen to her with, anytime there's issues or something didn't, go the way she had anticipated. And, more than anything, I try to be supportive on the, when I'm talking to her and she's out for a weekend and it's been a long weekend and they're tired, it's really long days. Sometimes, the morning call is early and then the awards are not until whatever 9 at night. And I look at the schedule. I'm like, why do they make it so brutal? So I try to be supportive from that perspective. I just try to be present for her. That's the main thing. And then for Callie as well, I try to, I don't go to all the comps. Joanna typically does. We have a son. So the model this year has been that I've been staying home with Truman, our son, while she goes out to the competitions to travel. I've offered to be the lead and take over and go do a weekend for Callie's dance competition. And she said, that's not going to work. You're going to screw it up. So, I just try to, like I said, be present and listen when she's, talking about, maybe the issues they've had or how well it went, and just be encouraging. What they're doing is hard. It's very long days and it's emotional. And obviously you want your child to perform as well as possible, but you also want them to be happy more than anything. Everyone can't always be first place. So you want to be encouraging that they do well and place as high as they can. And most importantly, have a really good time. I mean, I think that's the most important thing. Have a feeling of accomplishment and have fun. So I just try to be supportive from that capacity.
You said something, how the hours, and I mean, I do feel I've been pretty vocal, I think, and then we'll segue into this question, is that sometimes the conventions and competitions, borderline is abusive when they're competing at 11 and then they got to be down there at 7 and then they're getting yelled at for yawning in class. I've seen that. And it's like, you kidding me? This 8-year-old was on stage at 11 o'clock at night. So, maybe I'll ask, I think David might be more aware. How do you delegate having your daughters in dance competitions, which have been, I did a TV show about it and it was controversial. So it's somewhat of a controversial system, as well as, allegations. I remember being at a competition and cops came to arrest someone within the room. So how do you protect your daughters in this world, in this dance world, David?
Well, I guess I'm fortunate, that my daughters are pretty resilient. I can't believe, the amount of work that they do and how prepared they are, and really like how, I can't even imagine, because when like Coco, for example, she's both a competitive gymnast and a competitive dancer, and she started this, at 5 years old. And I think about when I was 5 years old, and, I liked glue, that was about, that's about the extent of my skills.
That's kind of scary if you liked glue at 5, David, already.
Yeah, let's just say, right? But, they're just a little bit different about that. They're very resilient. And I think part of it is because they did start at a younger age. They never knew when they got on stage that they should be, scared or have stage fright or any of those things, and so when they get up there, they've already done it, many times. And so they feel pretty confident. The things with the awards, even that, when they're young, they kind of don't know what's going on, and they just get a medal and are happy. And as they get older, they start to figure it out, even if I haven't, as far as, is platinum good? No, we want the double platinum, and so, they start to understand those things. And I think that's where it starts to get a little, more difficult. But again, my kids, they enjoy what they're doing so much, and they are excited about improving. And when they see improvement, they seem to get the most excited. So, and we've tried to reinforce that, they get really excited when they do really well. And then that's a good thing. But it's also, not going to happen every time. And so they're learning that. And I feel like maybe part of just what we've, tried to teach them about that, maybe that's rubbed off. But honestly, I think just their personalities are just fortunate that they're very resilient.
How do you help them deal with defeat in these dance competitions when they don't do well?
Well, I don't actually, we don't actually try to, sugarcoat it really. I think I basically just say, competitions can be like this. You're not always going to come in and win. And, we can see even the other dancers, things that they might have done. And it just gives you a little bit of a hunger, to improve. And they really sort of feel that way. And so, anytime I've noticed that they don't do well at a competition, leading up to that next competition, they're so much more focused on, the things that they can work on. And so I think it's actually a good thing. because, they're not taking it as, personally, in the sense that it's going to ruin their day and all that. I mean, they'll be upset, but they take it, I think, the way you'd want to if you're dealing with anything in life. Anytime
you see them after me. I see them usually as soon as they get off stage.
Right. Sure.
Maybe you're not even there sometimes, like Jason said. You're at home. So there's crying, and then finally they get to you. Nick, how do you deal with defeat for Penny when she hasn't won or is sad about her results?
Yeah. No, I mean, it actually just happened maybe a couple of weeks ago. I think we were in, I don't know, whatever competition it was. At the one of the end of the group dances, she finishes the dance with gosh, here we go. Trying to challenge my
a back handspring, an Alice cone.
Yeah, that one. The handspring where it was like maybe three times, but
okay.
She fell on the last one and she got off the stage. And, as every parent, like at that age, and maybe even when you get older, I mean, you knew she was going to be devastated and crying. And sure enough, she comes off stage and all the girls are around her and she was crying. And, I think the biggest thing is, for me is it's the reminding of her, because of this whole dance journey that was going back to the investment and the importance of why I'm invested in it, is that it's going to build her into a stronger woman as she gets older, is that, life's going to be full of mistakes. I mean, we all make mistakes. Stuff's going to happen, but it's how you move on from it. What do you do after that? That makes a difference. You can't sit there. It's okay to sit. And I try to tell her this, and maybe sometimes I'm too harsh, but it's like, it's okay to sit there and be sad that it's happened, but it's like, okay, we have to move forward. Right. And so I try to get that instilled in her head, is that shit's going to happen.
How do you feel when she loses?
I feel sad, like probably she does, but at the same time, I think it's good. Like, you can't, I think if you do well consistently, you need always a good reality check. You need a good punch to the stomach to remember, like, hey, this is why you practice every day. This is why you give it your 110% every day. So you can avoid feeling like this more times than not. And so I think it's just, I every time I think one of these things happens, it's always for me a teaching opportunity to, like, hey, it's just part of life. Let's have emotion about it, but we need to move on, right? Let's improve. And I think sometimes mom gets mad about that, but
well said.
Oh, we have a special guest.
Special guest. Callie just got home from dance.
Say hi, Callie. Say hi to the listeners.
Sorry to interrupt you, Nick.
No, you're good.
Say hi, Callie. Okay, she's not saying hi. Anyway, she's there, but hi. Nice bun. She's got a good bun. FYI, have any of you ever done a bun on your daughters?
No.
I tried once and it looked like a clown. Like Sideshow Bob with stuff coming out the side.
Yeah,
I'm not allowed to touch the hair.
David, you didn't? You know what, David? I actually thought you would have, and now I am really
Well, here's the thing. I did look at a YouTube video. I looked at a YouTube video and I just said, okay, I don't know what's going on. So, my hair is this long, right? So I have never tackled that, and I did start once, and they were honest with me. Coco, Dad, just stop. So I did, and we found a friend or another mom or whatever it takes. Because it just wasn't happening. So yeah.
And I always tell the dance dads and men in general about dance competition that pretty much for dance moms, this is their Super Bowl. When they're at, it really is. So, however you all act when the football game is on, that's how they're feeling that day, and their kid is in it. So it's even different, and the amount of money they put in and the amount of time. So there's a lot going on. And Nick, your wife, she was a dancer, wasn't she? A competitive dancer?
Yeah. She was, I think when we first met, or not met, we actually known each other since third grade, but when we reconnected, she was still dancing for fun in group settings. But yeah, I think she'd probably she actually did say the other day she wants to start dancing again. So maybe she'll bring it back up.
Oh, look at that. I know. Hey, Jason's wife, she's dancing all the time. Believe me, I see her She doesn't take class anymore, but she definitely, does around the house. Was your wife a dancer? Well, first of all, were any of you dancers? Did any of you take dance class?
No.
I had 2 dance moves growing up.
What were they?
Splits.
The worm.
What were they, Nick? What was one?
The worm. You gotta do the worm.
The worm.
I'll probably hurt myself, but and that's
What
it.
was the other one?
That one where you just stand in place and you kind of move, the middle school.
The arm thing?
Step touch.
David, did you dance at all and when you were growing up?
No, not very much. No, I did some musical theater.
Okay.
I actually, I'm a musician, just like Jason's also, I understand, a musician, right? So,
Not a good one.
We have that, we have that music connection, and this is sort of the way that I feel like I'm kind of passing it on to my kids, because I played guitar and I got actually one of my bachelor's degree was music composition. So, I'm familiar with the music world, and I was a studio musician for a while on the guitar. And, so I have familiarity with music and the things they're doing. And, I'm just happy to see that they're enjoying it and, that they're finding inspiration, whatever way they do in music.
I know that, probably, obviously there's lots of boys in dance, but unfortunately you have to say the word let. My dad letting me in dance was a fight. I remember being a young kid. He was fine up until I wore tights. And then I remember my mom and him going at it in the kitchen. He's like, why does he have to wear these? And he was fine. So my question would be, David, would you if you had a boy, would you let him dance?
Yeah. I think me growing up too, I was interested in music and a lot of things that maybe weren't necessarily, masculine interests, and I think my dad was a lot like me, I guess, and what he thought, and just wanted me to be happy and pursue the things that did that. And so I have no reservation in saying that, if I had a son and the interests were going that way, I would be more than happy to support it. I believe in music, and the benefits it gives people, and especially to learn at a young age, both Coco and Maddie, I have them. They're both learning guitar, and Maddie's also learning violin, so I want them to be kind of well-rounded and maybe if some of the instrumental music stuff sticks to that, that'll make me happy. But yeah, I recognize that it might not be the case for everyone, but for me, I'd be ecstatic if they were interested in any kind of music. And
they dance with some pretty fierce boy dancers. You have Brody. Bobby was going to possibly do this, and I know there actually were Cali dances. There's no boys there. But, and I don't know if there is what's the name of the studio? Well, you don't have to tell me, but where Coco and Maddie dance. I don't know if they have a boy there.
I'll tell you. They're at Signature Dance, which I guess quick shout out to Miss Jenny, because she just celebrated 15 years as being the studio owner there. And, she's the kind of studio where she does everything, and that was a big accomplishment for her. But there are, I think, at least 2 boys that dance there. And so, they're great dancers, and, it's good to see, but obviously there's not a ton.
What's one misconception of being a dance dad that other men, women think that aren't in this world, in this competition world? What's a misconception about dance dads?
Well, I think one of the things I probably had a misconception going into it, and I would say a lot of new dads that I meet, is like that we don't have any fun. And
good point.
I think we changed that a lot, because when I joined this like dance family, if you will, where we are today, it's like I remember thinking like, man, like we're all quote unquote stuck here on any given day. Like we got to make the best of this. And I think, every competition we go to now, and there's I think some of the older, because Penny is 9, and you have some older parents that I rarely ever see. And granted, the kids get older, they need less supervision, right? In theory. But I think like our age kids, when we go to competitions, like you see all the dads together, there's always like, a good group of the dads that all get together. We have fun and we make the best. At the end of the day, like we're here to support our kids. And while doing that, it doesn't mean you can't have fun while doing it, right? And I think that's a lot of things, like, just talking to new dads coming in, I think they don't really know what to expect. And then we get them out to one of the local watering holes in Anaheim after a long day at the Hilton or the Marriott, and they have a whole new feeling about being a dance dad, So
yeah, especially those of you, I mean, outside of Jason, both of you only have girls, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're kind of, like you said, stuck. And that would be another thing, a question I have for any of you, because like I said, this world can be controversial. It can have a lot of different characters. I've seen some outside dance dads come in and someone on stage is dancing. One of the teachers at the rap party is in drag, and they're probably pretty much having a panic attack at the table. Like, what is happening? And my daughter's here. How do you all feel about your daughters being taught by members of the gay community, Black community, and communities that are pretty much the foundation of these, that they're around? How do you all feel about them being taught by these people?
I think it's great. I think nowadays, I think when we were all growing up and our parents were growing up, society's evolved, right? I think my most important thing that I want Penny to learn is that you need to be accepting of everybody, and you never have to agree with what everyone's beliefs are, but you need to respect them, right? And that's the biggest thing, is just creating early on, just understanding the world that's around you. Because our kids will only be with us, with mom and dad for 17, 18 years. And after that, they're on their own. So, my hope is that, we, for me, prepare Penny to go out and understand, what life really is. Like, this is the world that you're walking into. It's, it's not false reality.
Anybody else want to chime in?
Sure. I think it's great for the kids to get exposed to, a diverse group. There's a lot of flamboyant, people that are in that community, but I don't see anything that's in any way like shocking or anything like that. It's just, dance comes with, it's a bunch of artists, and the artist community has always got, flamboyant people, from all walks of life, whatever race, orientation, all that. So, I think it's kind of, I'd be shocked if it wasn't that way. I think it's very, very good. And, like Kelly grew up in LA. We live in San Diego now. She grew up around diversity. I think that's, crucially important. And I don't even really see it anymore, and I don't think Callie sees it one bit. So I think it's great that she's been able to, or she's growing up in a world where it just is not even something that, matters, or that she'll even notice at all. You asked specifically gay or, Black.
Just people that are, considered. I love that you said artists, because then then you get it. Even that's one true. Of the kids on Dance Moms, he's now a transgender woman. So the thing about your kids, and I really truly believe this, is they're the future of leaders. They really are. I've seen it happen.
Yeah.
And they're already exposed to so much. That's why they're the future of leaders, because they are taught at a young age resilience, acceptance, how to deal with anxiety. That's for sure.
The words are the best. That's when the outfits come out. That's when I want to see what Brooklyn's going to be wearing. It's great.
You knew who I was talking about. He knew exactly who I was talking about.
I love the awards. I think it's great.
Well, I'm going to definitely, we're heading home from nationals now, because that was a really good question to finish on. But show me, David, those of you now, you have to watch on YouTube. Show me one of your daughter's favorite dance move from one of your daughter's dance. You don't have to get up. You can just do.
I was going to do the back handspring, but if no, I guess not. So, anyways, but
your cabinet.
yeah. No, did you tell that story? We had a guy that did a back handspring during the daddy-daughter dance. And honestly, like he brought new meaning to break the floor because he did with his face, unfortunately.
Oh.
And it was I know, a lot of it, we get a lot of dads together and it's the daddy-daughter dance. Everyone wants to go back to the glory days, but it's not always a great idea. Yeah, exactly. So
I threw my back out the glory days on Saturday. So no, don't do it.
Right. So I'll keep it simple. Coco, my both of them, Maddie and Coco, I'm hooked up to a wire here, so it's not gonna work. But they this tornado thing, which I think I'm pretty good at. You just get going here like this, like that, and then I think I do it pretty good, right? Like,
that was good. You know what? You get platinum for that.
Thank you.
I'm going to judge you all. Okay, and then I'm going to give it overall. Okay, Nick, what's your favorite? Actually, Jason, you're up. Your favorite move from your daughter's dance.
Well, Callie's really focused on developing her turns, and they've been getting incredibly good. So she's, got parts in her performances or even her group performances a lot of times where she's, featured doing the turns. And that's really beautiful to watch because she's getting really great at them. But also she's got a new move I've been seeing worked into her solos and her group dances, which is like a one-handed handstand pirouette with her legs over. It's really beautiful. It's really cool move.
Do it.
She's been doing. I can't do that. I mean, these days for me, I'm 55. I mean, I'm lucky if it's like elbows up, side to side gangster dance.
Okay. You know what? You at least said it. I'll give you a high gold for that. You at least said it.
That's the lowest, John.
I didn't see any movement. I didn't. Sorry. You could have done that or something.
Lightning go.
Okay, Nick. What's one of your favorite daughter's moves that she does?
So Penny's super into Michael Jackson the last 2 years, and I think last year she did dance, and this year she's doing Michael Jackson again. And she finishes her tap solo doing the moonwalk off stage. Let me see if I can do it off stage and with the hat and everything. So, in fact, I had to do that more recently for a Dance Dad dance thing in the studio's Instagram. And I watched it the other day. I'm like, man, I suck. I'm terrible.
You need to get together with John and work on it.
Hey, you know what? Did you get on stage, Nick? Did you do it on stage?
No, well, we did it on a grass stage, outside of
Hey, you still did it. I mean, that's half the battle. I tell the kids when we're in class, no adults could get in here. The fact that you're in here, they tell you to go in, but I guarantee your parents would be panicking if they were in this class, having to go one at a time, improv. All of that. So I'm going to give you what's in between platinum and high gold?
Lightning gold.
Lightning gold. There you go.
Like Randy
lightning
Savage.
Gold. So lightning gold. Lightning gold. And dads need to be celebrated more, and that's why I brought you all on. So last question. I'm going to give this to Jason because he already got a little 411 on what it was going to be. If you were going to compete, and this is the same for all of you, if you're going to compete a solo, what would it be to? Jason,
you gave me the 411 on that. Oh gosh. Okay. If I had to compete a solo, I would go with I'd go with an Oasis song.
Oh,
I'd probably do maybe a Wonderwall. That's not my favorite Oasis song by any means, but I would have it done by an orchestra.
Oh, so you're doing a cover. Look at you.
An orchestral cover of Wonderwall by Oasis with me up there in my tights.
You wear tights.
You can't. It's a dance performance.
You don't have to. But hey, I love it. You're wearing tights, no shirt.
I don't. That's a good question. I have to think about that.
Okay.
Muscle shirt.
So Nick, what would your solo be to?
100% would be Thriller.
Nice.
Thriller. And so you would go for the authentic. You would be in that costume and everything. Or good. Okay.
That's good.
All right.
Solid.
That's
better than lightning gold.
Yeah, you got a platinum right now. Okay, David, what would your solo be?
Oh man, it's actually something that I kind of want to see at some point. I would love to see a dancer. I guess I couldn't really do this, but I guess it would be a dancer that would start off doing like ballet, with like a classical Mozart or something,
Okay.
and eventually it would just sort of go into, some kind of a well-known, like Panama, Van Halen or something, and totally change it up, into, a totally different sort of interpretation of the ballet, where they're kind of rocking out and, I guess bring in like a mashup, because they always do that in hip hop, right? You always got one song to the next.
I have never seen a ballet.
Yeah, I mean, right? Yeah,
rock mashup.
But it could be done. A good arrangement, I think, right? And then you could, see something unique and different, that would be kind of exciting. So I couldn't say how it would go. Maybe Panama's not the right song, but
it's great.
Something along those lines. Well, see, I think that's what you could wear something that starts off as ballet, right? And then somehow have the costume,
you're going to do a tearaway.
You're going to rip, and then you're going to be turning into the, Bohemian Rhapsody, whatever you want to go with, and then wake up the judges and just be like, have different technique and be able to, have a crazy solo, because, it's just, you see a lot of the same situations. I think there's probably something there that would be worthwhile.
You've thought about this, and
I did for the last 5 seconds, and maybe it's kind of, you can tell maybe, but
well, thank you all for doing it. You all did a trio. You didn't even know that. You totally just did a trio at a dance competition, and you got titanium.
Oh, nice.
Not even platinum, not lightning, not high gold. You got titanium.
It's got to be a new one. Yeah.
And probably first overall, and $50 cash.
Ooh.
Wow.
Gift certificate to the next.
You get a scholarship?
Yeah, you all got scholarships to New York to break the something.
I still got mine.
Break something. It's always break something. All right. Well, everyone, does anyone want to say where hey, this might be good. This is the wives will love this. If you want, where they can follow your daughters or you.
Well, you can follow Coco. She's on Instagram. She's at Little Miss Coco Nutty on Instagram. And, she's always putting up her little dance moves and, latest things. So if you want to, see more about her, she's, like I said, she's a competitive gymnast. She's a competitive dancer, and she's only 8 years old now. And I really don't understand how she works so hard at everything, because both those commitments are through the roof, She's
strong. She's good. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, she's something else. I don't know where she gets it, honestly, but she's trucking along. So
anybody else want to share themselves or their kids dancing?
Callie's got a dance account. It's California Dances on Instagram. It's private, so you have to, request it, and it's managed by Joanna. But, if you're from the dance community, I'm sure that there'll be something there for you.
And go buy some Drink Weird.
There it is.
There you go.
And Nick, anything?
Yeah, same as Jason. It's Miss Penny Girl and Managed by Mommy. So you gotta get accepted to the club. So.
All right. Well, you're gonna. It's gonna be exciting. This is coming out during nationals, just so you all know. So
look at that. Awesome.
You're gonna go viral. I have a feeling.
Like that, I want a Mickey's in my hand.
Yeah, well, cheers, guys. And you know what? Remember, we're 4 dance dads, and wherever you find 4 dance dads, you'll find a 5th. So,
All right, cheers. Cheers to our Mickey grenades. Thank you, everyone.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Good to see you guys.
Thank you so much for listening to Dance Dad with John Corella. Thank you to everyone at Hivecast for all that you do. And if this episode meant something to you, please share it and subscribe. Also, you can follow Dance Dad with John Corella on all platforms. But most importantly, remember to be bold and be fierce.